Hello. Good afternoon. How's everyone doing?
Good.
Good. Let's see. So today we're going to start talking about your um, portfolio. How many of you have a portfolio started, let's say? I don't think a portfolio is ever finished. So how many of you have a portfolio started? That's good. Seeing a lot of people. So how can we have a lot of majors represented in this class, right? So how can the portfolio be different um, from major to major, from person to person? How might it be different from for each of you?
An animation student portfolio might be a video, whereas like a BIM major or something might be more like paper and hard copies.
That could be. Yeah, certainly those of you that are in animation are going to have more of a demo reel style of portfolio to show your skills. Many of you um, will have a website of sorts, and how that website functions and how you set it up may be different for each one of you. Um, what else? What else might be different between each of your resume or each of your portfolios?
Well, in my case, I'm an animation major. So if I was going to do a portfolio, I would like to incorporate like virtual elements to show, for example, video I've produced. If I could.
Okay, good.
Or images of things I've created.
Good. Um, yeah, so you'll have,
Hello.
go ahead.
I was just saying hi.
Hello. So, yeah, you're, I guess, a lot of what we see is usually thumbnails leading to larger examples of what that thumbnail represents, right? So you may have on your initial landing page, you may have, let's say 3, 4, 5 different areas that you've categorized your work into, and you've created some type of artwork or something visual to represent that area, and then following that would take you into a basically a gallery of things that whoever's looking at your portfolio can go through. How many of you right now feel like you have, or maybe I should ask, how many of you do not feel like you have enough things to put in a portfolio? Yeah. So that's gonna be pretty close to the consensus for many of you, because most of you in here are still early in your academic career, so you may not have quite as many items from your classwork to show, and you might not have other activities, as many activities that you've gotten into to be able to turn those into portfolio pieces as well. So we've got, so Kelly says, feel like there's enough, but needs to be more polished to show the best work. Kelly, are you, if you don't mind my asking, are you sophomore, junior, senior? I'm kind of assuming you might be a junior or senior if you feel like you've got more to work with. Okay, that's good. That's good. Jess says, I never have enough time to work on projects. Yeah, it's hard being a student, isn't it? Because you're in what, probably 5
I'm in
classes.
VPI. Oh, sorry. I thought you were asking what major I was in.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. But yeah, it's hard having enough time to devote to projects like you would like to, because you're each in several classes all at once, and a lot of times those time periods kind of coincide with one another because of the classes have the same starting time and ending time, right? The same date anyway. So each class is trying to fit in a couple of projects, and a lot of times those projects kind of fall at about the same time, so you feel like you're working on multiple projects at once, especially towards the end of the semester, because well, most classes anyway, want to have a final project, and a lot of times all those final projects overlap, and the final project is supposed to be your best project, right? The one that maybe you can turn into your portfolio piece, but you've got so many of them going all at the same time, it's really hard to put enough time into all of them. If I'm guessing that's how many of you feel going through. Should we create a website using Weebly or something similar, or should we use a site like Portfolium? So I've seen some on both. I don't think there's a wrong answer. It's just a matter of presenting yourself as well as you can, and also if depending on the type of content that you want to have. So if you're looking at building a website that's more demo reel based, so you've got a lot more video than say anything else, just making sure that what you choose to create your site on allows for that. If you've got something that like if you are in say VPI or BIM, and you're able to create something that that maybe makes use of like some 3D rotation and stuff, making sure that you're able to do that on whatever hosting site you choose. So just a little upfront investigating. It shouldn't take much. Just making sure that you're able to do the things that you may need to do, if not now, in the next couple of years. So yeah, I don't think one or the other necessarily makes your portfolio better. It's because whoever's looking at your portfolio is looking at the content more so than where it's hosted. So yeah, Jackson says junior and still don't have a lot, and does that kind of stem from I'm guessing just, you know, you've got to take so many classes all at once, and this last year I know it's been rough on everyone, so probably producing what you would like. In this past year, it's been, I'm sure, very difficult. And yes, so there's one that says, I feel like the only projects I have are from classes we took. That's how I'm sure a lot of your classmates feel. So at this point, and that's fine at this point. So hopefully each of you will be able to do an internship or a co-op in the next couple of years that will help you branch out and do something different. If not, you can always, or you can try to get involved with an organization. Purdue has all kinds of organizations, and volunteer to try and do something related to that organization in your field that you could turn into a portfolio piece. And I know as a student, there's not much time to dabble on things, but if you've got this idea that you just want to try to make some time for that and turn that into a portfolio piece that's unique to you. Another thing that coincides with feeling like everything is from classes is also, I imagine many of you feel like the classes that you have or your classmates that you have many of the same things that you have, and so there again, you want to look for opportunities, whether it's an organization you can join, something that a relative is doing that you could use your skill set to create something, even if it's, maybe they use it, maybe they don't, but maybe it's something that you can turn into a portfolio piece to demonstrate your skill, to kind of set you apart from your classmates as well. Let's see, I gotta scroll up and see if I missed anything. Over the summer, you've got babysitting and 2 jobs. Well, I hope I'm not sure if the babysitting will lead to any portfolio pieces, but I hope the other 2 jobs do. I hope you're able to do something related to those 2 jobs that you can turn into a piece that you'd be happy to show off to others, right? And that's kind of, when you think about the portfolio, you want to think of the pieces that you put in there as something you want to show off to someone else, right? It's like, hey, I did this, come look at it, I want you to see it. Those are the kinds of items you're looking to put in there. Joe says classified as a junior, right? Because you switched majors, yeah. So you feel like you've got to play catch up. Yeah, I can understand that. Kodos, when you change your degree objective, it's you've got you're ahead of everyone in terms of credits towards graduation, but you're essentially kind of taking a step back for a year to try and get caught up on the coursework. So yeah, that can be, and what can be even more difficult is some people try to change their degree when they come in and still try to finish close to on time, maybe only a semester later or something. That makes it incredibly difficult because you've spent the first, however long it is, maybe you're maybe you, I just got a message that says my internet connection is unstable. So let me know if I get choppy. I may have to kick my kids off the Xbox. So yeah, if you change your degree objective and you're trying to kind of push your way through it faster, that can make things difficult as well, because you spent the first year, 2 years in a different major, and maybe don't have anything you feel is relevant to put into your portfolio from that, but maybe there is. I wouldn't say that what you've done there is lost. Try to think if there's a way to include it. So a lot of websites are unfinished because the client stopped communication. Well, that stinks. But I have been there. One thing in web development is communication with the client is what I dread. Not so much the actual act of communicating. It's just the just asking for something and then waiting. And you got to ask again and wait and ask again. And it's if you're not creating the content, if you're asking people for content, it's a drawn out waiting game, and sometimes you don't get what you need. So should you still include those? I'd say depending on what degree it is, to what degree it's finished. If you did a really nice design for it, and maybe you can show the splash page and make it look good, you could maybe show it as an image of one that you worked on and not necessarily link to it, kind of. That may be how I'd approach it if it's not finished. You can still say and be honest, this is one that I started, but the communication with the client was lost, but you could, if you've got like that front end to look at, that's a way to kind of get around that instead of linking to it. Do a screen capture and do it that way. So Ashan, if you're from DataViz, once you take CGT 270, you'll have enough content to create a portfolio. In fact, one of the assignments is to create a portfolio. You can build off that. Yeah, so that's good. That's good that you've got that much to work with in that class. So we've got from Hannah, several part-time web dev jobs available on campus throughout the year. Because yes, those help as much as projects. In fact, there are many of my former students throughout the university, working full-time throughout the university. One of my former students works for the Polytechnic, and he's very good at what he does. So it's, where can we find those? A lot of times those are, a lot of times they'll come through. Are you on the CGT listserv? So do you get emails that come through occasionally that have job opportunities? If not, I'm not sure. I'd have to find out who to ask to get on that. Let's see. Where can we? Most of the web dev jobs or other part-time jobs that are within the university usually come through what we call our listserv, which is just an email list. So I think by default, all of you are supposed to be on it. Probably your Purdue address is on it if that's your main one you use. If it's not your main one you use, you should check it. But I believe unless you have opted out of that, you should be on it. Jay also saying switched majors and feel so behind. Yes. But I imagine, Jay, you're probably extending your career by a semester or a year because of that. Probably because you have enough you have enough classes left to take. It's just going to take that long to get through them.
Well, I switched like majors and I was a biochem kid.
Okay.
So
yeah, I knew a really good web developer who had a biology degree. There are, if you know a decent amount, I don't know much about biology, but if you know, if you have that background, you can try to parlay that into job openings that are a little more unique to your background. So you can, and it kind of depends if you like that background, I guess. If you are still interested in it, you could look at biotech type places for the type of, and kind of have that angle on your major now and put that flavor to it, and that will make you a little more unique in terms of what you would have in your portfolio. So Hannah was contributing that found some offers for jobs on campus through department emails or flyers posted on campus. So yeah, that's the place I see the most often is my email inbox coming through there. Do portfolios grow a lot after graduation and once you begin a job? From Jackson. That's a great question. And I think it depends in part on, excuse me. I think it depends in part on if the job that you first take is one that you really enjoy and you want to stay there for a while. I also think it depends a lot on the type of what your major is, and I'll say that with regard to like I'll use animation. So I don't know. I know a fair amount about the job industry and animation. I'm by no means an expert in that area, but the people that I know that have gone on to become animators, most of them have worked for a company on a project, and maybe they stay there, or maybe they go to a different company and work on a different project. And because of that, they have to keep their demo reel and portfolio up to date constantly. And so that particular kind of industry, I feel like you definitely have to stay on top of it and keep doing it. But there are others that, like say, BIM, I'll use. I don't feel like if you get a job with a company that you enjoy and that's where you'd be happy to stay there for a while, you're probably not going to work on your portfolio much at all. Now, if you took an entry-level job because you wanted to take one, but you know that you're still looking to move on in a year or 2 years, then yeah, you'd still be building that, but you could use things from your current company to do so. So I guess to answer your question, Jackson, it depends. There are, I would say, many of you, once you've gotten a job that that interests you and you're happy with, you're probably not going to work on your portfolio very much unless you start looking for a different job. Otherwise, those industries, like, I'll come back to animation. That's one that I see people constantly wanting to keep their portfolio, their demo reel up to date for the next project that comes along. Ryan, let's see. How do you know what from an internship or job you can use on your portfolio? Okay, so how do you know? I assume you mean like if your employer is okay with you using it. If that's kind of your question, I'd say just ask. Even if you're not there anymore, surely you've got a contact there that you could call or email, and you could just say, I worked on this, this, and this. I would like to show them in my portfolio. Is there any problem with doing that? And I would think they would get back to you in a reasonable amount of time and let you know. In general, I'd say if you did not sign a non-disclosure agreement, if you weren't working for a company under secret clearance, anything like that, then you can probably show it. Now, I worked for the Boeing company for a few years, and I had secret clearance. So there's a lot of things that I worked on that I can't share. It's just part of what I went through, but they were sure neat. So I'd say just ask Ryan. Jackson, is it hard to get hired with a small portfolio? I would say, how good is it? I don't know that people looking through portfolios necessarily look at the size of it so much as the quality of it. If you have just a few really high quality pieces and you show them off well, that's gonna serve you very well in a portfolio. So it's kind of I think as you go along and you build your portfolio, you'll find yourself maybe in the early stages putting in a few more things because some of you have already said you don't feel like you have enough, so you put in some things that maybe you don't necessarily want to put in there, but you're trying to fill it out. And then as you move along and you do some bigger and better things, and you do something that really you're really happy with, you take out a couple of those others that you weren't sure about to begin with. So to get hired with a small portfolio, I think it's based on the quality of it. To answer that, just if you've got some good pieces in there that are very high quality, it should not deter from your interview. Kelly, double major in data viz and game development. I assume it would be best to have 2 different portfolios, resumes, etc., then bring them out accordingly depending on what job I'm applying to. That's probably correct, because it would probably be a pretty niche environment to find something that is right down the middle of those 2 majors, right? It'd be pretty cool and interesting. But there may be some pieces that could cross over, in your game development programming. I'd definitely highlight your programming skills within your data viz portfolio. And quite frankly, in your game development, kind of go in the other direction, at least show something that you're also in data viz. You could think of it like maybe your portfolio loads and there's your initial description, kind of like your top banner of your resume kind of thing, but you could show that you are both a double major in data viz and game development, and they can choose to go one way or the other. And then in that way, it would kind of be one. Or you could make two separate ones, and from each one maybe link to the other. And if you're interviewing for game dev, you give them the game dev one, but and as they go through that, they'll discover, oh wow, they've done some interesting things in data viz as well. So I guess what I'm trying to say is you don't want to hide the stuff that you've done in the other major, because definitely having that experience is going to help you in some way moving forward. So don't hide it. I try to find a way to get them both into your portfolio. Ryan says, also in biochem and switched. Yeah, that's since I saw the first one, I think there's two people that I can think of offhand that were, I don't know that they were in biochem. I want to say biology, but one of them in particular really embraced the biology side of things. So she was majoring in web programming and design, and really found a solid niche area in biology and web development. Because she had that background that nobody else or not nobody, but very few others had in that area. And so she, in looking for web development opportunities, she looked at places that did a lot with biology and found opportunities that way that others may not have found. Let's see. Decided to stick with my dual major even if game dev and biomechanical engineering have little to nothing in common outside of a specific career that I like. Okay. I'm going to come back to programming. Your game development is going to teach you a lot about programming, right? And programming is a higher order thinking skill, and it will help you in life. It helps you with problem solving. It helps you think problems through. So I think it's good that you're going to stick with your dual major. But in terms of a portfolio, if you are going for more the biomechanical engineering, I would still definitely highlight your programming skills. And I know nothing about biomechanical engineering. Is there a lot of programming in that already? I don't know. Let's see. Natalie asks, I have another major in liberal arts and have included those projects in my portfolio. Do I need to make a separate portfolio for this class, or can I include all of my work? You can include all of your work. No, we don't want you to necessarily make a separate portfolio for this class that you're not going to. It's not going to be the one that you're trying to use. So we want you to work on the one that's you intend to be the one you're using moving forward. So yes, include those projects. I don't want you to make a special one just for this class, because that almost kind of defeats the purpose. We want you to move forward towards having something that that you can continue to build and build until you graduate, and hopefully it helps you get a job, right? So It says on the syllabus that paper mock-ups are due next week. Is there a rubric or criteria for that somewhere that we can see? Let's see. I will look and get back to you, Joe. So the portfolio mockups can either be a link to your portfolio if you already have one. So there's the idea with the mockups is for someone who does not have a portfolio started yet. It's the ideation process of thinking, what do I want in my portfolio? Where do I want to place things? What will my menu structure be? And things like that. But if you've already got your portfolio in place, then you can, we'll make that so that you can turn in your initial link now, and then the goal is that through the rest of the semester that you make some improvements to your portfolio by the end of the semester. So Derek asks, will you be judging the portfolio based on the content or based on the shell that it provides? So it's going to be more what you're calling the shell, and kind of it's not going to be based on your pieces that you put in there, but we are going to look at things like your navigation and your design, and just if you're and this initial one is not going to be as much based on that. We want to see that you've got a clear idea for where you're heading. So maybe that you've got a good idea of the design, a good idea of the page layout, a good idea of your menu structure, and maybe have some placeholders in there at this point is fine, because remember the assignment was asking for mock-ups in case you had not even started. So having those placeholders for things, but then by the end of the semester actually having something in those placeholders would be what we're looking for. I'm a BIM major and have had projects I worked on in a very collaborative setting. How do I go about demonstrating this on a portfolio? So some of what I've seen is like you would put some images, or if it's a video, or maybe it's something 3D that you've done that you can use in the website, but then below that or next to it actually have some description saying that how large the group was, or roughly how many people were collaborating on it, what your role was, what you worked on, and how you worked with others. But highlight that collaborative experience that you had, because when you are looking at a job with a company, they're interested in how well you work with others. So have a description that talks about your role and how you communicated with others to successfully complete your role, and how that was integrated with the others. That's how I would go about doing something that was a collaboration. If it's something that's very large, you don't want to try and pass it off as having done the whole thing, right? So you don't want someone in an interview to kind of catch you in that. So I would lay it out like that, so that you highlight the skills that you gained from that, which was not only the part that you did, but also that experience with collaborating with others. You all have had great questions this hour. This is great. Good question, Stacy. So no, if you have a portfolio site, no, you do not have to do the mock-up. You can instead submit the URL to the portfolio. But what we do want to see is some improvement between now and the next iteration. So whatever that improvement happens to be, what we don't want to see is the same link now and later with no change at all, right? So no, you don't have to, because doing the mock-up now would be kind of going backwards, I guess. What we instead want to promote is your continuing to work on it. So you've got your portfolio to a certain stage right now, and we'd like for you to use the coming weeks to do something to improve that portfolio site. And then when you turn in the next version, we'll have you create something that says how your first one is different from your second one, to kind of point out these are the things that were done. Lewis, correct, Lewis. It can, if you are in the very beginning stages, like you don't have a portfolio created currently and you need to design and think it out, then yeah, that's what the paper mock-ups are for. So you can mock it up on paper and to show this is the idea that I have for my portfolio, and then by the end of, by your second submission, we would want to see that you've put that together and have a URL to that. So each one of you is likely going to be at a different stage. And making you, it doesn't make any sense to make all of you go back to do mock-ups. And it doesn't make any sense the other way either. If for those that don't have a portfolio at all right now, we can't force them to get to a certain level and then progress from there. So what we want instead is again to promote that you have some time and opportunity to work on that portfolio as part of this class. So you show us where you are now, put in some time between now and the next submission, and tell us what you did differently from now until the next submission. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Kate, sorry. Let me go look at that. Okay, it requires a file upload. Let me see what options it allows for me. If I can allow a link submission, I will go look at that, Kate. Yeah, I can. If I can make it so that you can submit a link somehow, that would certainly make it easier for grading, rather than having to download a file to get the link and then follow the link. You can imagine if you had to do that a lot, that would be much more cumbersome than being able to just follow the link directly out of Brightspace. So let me look at that, see if I can make that. It's mostly an easier process for Hannah for grading, right? So your mock-up. So I don't know if you've had to do mock-ups for for something else, but you should do like a wireframe and show where things are supposed to go. Probably show your main page and where you intend things to be, where you intend your menu to be, and maybe show a few other pages. So if you're doing a paper mock-up, you would basically draw, how you intend it to look, and as kind of your blueprint for when you begin creating it. Commented the link on. So Laura, were you, when you submitted your text file, you were able to add a comment along with the submission? Do you know if when you submitted it, did it turn it into a hyperlink? I'd have to go look. That would be perfect if that worked. And that Joe just asked a similar question. If that works, then absolutely. That would be a lot. So Joe said, can't we just copy and paste a link into the comment and then submit it? That would be good. I'm going to move this over here to, nope, that's probably not where I wanted to go. Come on. Yes. So I'm looking at Kelly Addison. I see has a portfolio link that I can follow directly out of there. Several of you, a lot of you. So yeah, if you can in the comments, just put the portfolio link, or maybe even put text, the word portfolio : and then the link. But that's on my end. When I go and look at it, it is a clickable link. So so yeah, that would work great. So Mark asks if you're a web dev, web programming and design major, do you think it would be good to build the website yourself? I believe it would, as long as it's good. I've seen it both ways. So I've seen really good portfolios from web students that they did not build. I've also seen really good ones that students did build, and I've also seen ones that are not so good that students did build. Maybe because they're more of a programmer than they are the front end kind of person. So if you have the front end design skills, I would say, yeah, that would be good to demonstrate your skills that way. But it's not necessarily a detriment to you if you organize your portfolio well, and your portfolio has valuable pieces in it. It's either way could be all right. And there we have some more portfolios. So submitting the paper mock-ups, if you can just if you can scan them, or maybe take good pictures, you know, lay it on a flat surface and take a really good picture and then turn those pictures into a PDF or something like that for submitting the paper mock-ups. I will check on grading with Hannah and see where she is on the narrative submission and the resume. So Dr. McGraw and I can check on that and see how that's coming along. So, all right, we are at 5:20, 5:21 by my watch here. So thank you all. You've all had great comments throughout the hour. Really kept things moving. So that was nice. I hope you have a great rest of the day.